Доброго дня, шановні колеги. 25 вересня 2023 року, 15:00 в Україні, 14:00 в Польщі. Ми розпочинаємо наш сьогоднішній захід, який триває у рамках міжнародних науково-педагогічних стажувань, які відбуваються на базі Куявського університету в місті Влоцлавеку з 4 вересня по 15 жовтня 2023 року. Із задоволенням представляю сьогоднішніх лекторів, наших давніх друзів Центру українсько-європейського наукового співробітництва. Це пані Joanna Skiba, експерт галузі освіти дорослих та електронне навчання, та сертифікований тренер та наставник Marcin Miziołek. Тема сьогоднішньої лекції – проєктне навчання. Як організувати навчання студентів. Joanna, please speak.
Good afternoon. We are going to discuss the topic of the project-based learning today, and we would like to share quite a lot of experience, and I think we're going to focus on very practical aspects of this area, which is related to your internship as the main subject area, and academic area is pedagogics. I also would like to introduce my colleague, Dr. Marcin Miziołek, who is going to have this meeting, and we're going to run this meeting and have a conversation for you together. Dr. Marcin Miziołek, as has been mentioned already, is a certified coach and mentor and trainer, and has had quite a lot of experience in academic education at our university and also worldwide at international level. So I guess we both have had our own share in the topic from the very practical point of view, because the project-based learning is an aspect that I guess we face on daily basis in our either teaching life, or for me academic life, or in any other professional area which is strongly related to what we do. I guess we're going to have, as usual, when the two of us take part in the internship with you, I guess we will have a conversation. We're going to answer questions, and I think both of us will be trying to have some kind of interaction that will answer some of the topics which are strongly related to the idea that we would like to discuss with you today. So the project-based learning, I would like to ask Marcin for a definition. Could you define this project-based learning concept?
First of all, good afternoon. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to meet with you and to share actually ideas which have been with me for quite some time. Me myself being a lecturer, I've been trying to find a way to convey messages, to actually convey knowledge, to show my students in a best way for them to evolve, to develop their skills. And of course, project-based learning is one thing that I came across, to be honest, for the first time, I think around 10 years ago during my studies at Cambridge University. And I have to admit, before even giving this definition, that in Poland during my educational time, primary school or high school, it was mainly like actually being the education system is teacher-oriented style. Like teacher is the omnipotent person who knows everything, who judges, who evaluates work, and actually says what needs to be done and whether it is correct or incorrect. So it was actually this. I think this is still the standard model that we have in Poland. It doesn't mean that we don't have this project-based learning style in our country. But I just wanted to tell you that actually I've been here and there. I've tried the standard model and the project-based learning model. So what is actually the project-based learning? It's learning based on projects. It's as simple as that. So the definition is quite simple, but it means that actually the emphasis is on the student, and the student himself, herself, has to show more initiative, be more creative, and it is expected that the student will actually come up with his or her own ideas instead of us, let's say teachers, giving clear instructions on how to do it. I'm a fan of teachers giving clear instruction of what they want, what they expect students to do, but not how to do it. It's like, let's say, as Joanna has already said, I'm a coach. So for me, project-based learning is similar to coaching. Coaching, which is becoming more and more and more popular nowadays. It is like you have the target, you have the goal, but the path is for you to choose. And the same story goes with project-based learning. The main focus is on the project. The main focus is on the student. And the student has to, let's say, create a path which will lead directly to the goal which is expected by the teacher. Joanna?
Thank you. I must say I totally agree with this, and also what you have just said and mentioned at the beginning. This is, I think, pretty new. As you said, you came across the idea about 10 years ago, which I think in the world of pedagogy means that the concept is pretty new, because it started, as always, it started in theory first, and then ran on, evolving in different ways. And somehow we face it now as it is, as this is a concept, project-based learning, as you said, focusing on the student and the actual activity. Also having in mind this, that the instructions have to be clear. So I guess there is quite a big difference between the project-based learning and the regular learning. I would say the key element here, mentioning the difference, will be the engagement on part of the student. And also it will depend on the age of the student. As working with adults or in academic environment, I guess it's pretty easy to impose something like a task, something like a project. But I guess we can also go down to, let's say, high school students and even to primary school students and focus on projects with them as well. I guess this is just a notion, but the students can be equally engaged in the process. So I would say for me as an academic teacher, the difference I see between the project-based learning and regular learning is the engagement on the side of the learner. What would you say, how would you comment on the benefits of the project-based learning?
For me, the biggest benefit, I have benefits for the teachers and benefits for the students. This is also important. I just want to tell you that my 11-year-old goes to Montessori Schule, which is actually a school where there is only project-based learning. So I also know it not from my own experience, but from my child's own experience. She's 11, so I can see how and what actually it stimulates. For the teacher, the benefit which I can see is that actually the stress there's less stress, I'd say. There's less responsibility on a teacher, on us, and more responsibility on the on the student. Sorry. So it is like I don't want to create a world or now this meeting that I would say that this is the only way, that's the best way. It's just I want to use it as a discussion if it's possible, if you can share your ideas. And why is that? Because students are different. For one student, giving him just the goal and letting him go, creating his own ideas, paths, as I mentioned, it is something that they will love doing. But we have other students who really need planning and actually being given instructions, so it can be stressful when they don't have instructions. So if we have, because there is a connection between, in my opinion, between family life and school life, when there is a family in which parents tell their children what to do and how to do it, without giving as much independence to the child as it would be needed for them to make their own decision and taking responsibility for the decision they made, it can be more difficult for them to be in an environment where they just now they are, let's say, expected to stand for themselves, to say, I think this is the best way. So for the teacher, the benefit, coming back to the question, is less stress, I'd say, and more stress is on the student. But not every student can handle it based on the family environment they come from. We are, as societies, we are also developing. So something that was like impossible to be recognized or to be just accepted 25 or 35 years in Poland, it slightly, is acceptable now. Still, when I face even some friends and I say my daughter is learning, it is in a school where there's project-based learning, they are surprised. They say they don't believe in that. So we have different opinions. From my perspective, you develop independence in the student. You develop, let's say, being creative, and you create environment in which it is okay to make mistakes. I think that's the key, not only for my students or for students in general, but just please look at yourself. Are you okay with making mistakes or not? If we are not okay, then probably we were taught in a way that there was only one possible answer, and we were expected to give this very answer. If we were, more creative and mistakes were accepted, we feel less stress when making a mistake.
Thank you. And I also think it's related to the level of control that we have. So letting off, like reducing control on the side of the teacher, it's very difficult in traditional Polish schools, as you mentioned, Montessori. So Montessori, as you said, it's based on projects, so it gives a lot of freedom to students, to learners. So when we are ready as teachers to let it off and to have less control in the classroom, maybe it's a direction to follow, to have this method and use it on a regular basis in the classroom. I have the same experience with my daughter, who is 15 now and is a high school student. And she approached me last week and telling me that they were in their school, they were given a choice at the subject called business education or entrepreneurship. And the students were given the choice of either regular classes or the project classes. So what was the choice? What do you think? The choice was, of course, project classes. So I was really happy to hear that myself as an academic teacher. And I guess many students are ready for that. As you said, also many may not, but this may come from the social background, this may come from family background, those inhibitions that people have, and also nationalisms maybe sometimes, which are like an issue for another meeting or another lecture really. I would say there are, just looking into this topic before today, I have found some strong results, and I would say the strong result and benefit of the project-based learning is the authenticity. So when we get authentic result of some action, of seeking information, looking for solutions, we also have combining skills. So the students, the learners have to combine different areas of research, different areas of, they have to multitask at the same moment. And it's also related to critical thinking and solving problems. So all of these, for me, as an academic teacher, are the obvious results: the authenticity, the critical thinking, and combining skills within the scope of the result of project-based learning. I guess there is also a lot of freedom that we offer to students in that way. So the freedom, and it's very hard to free the learners sometimes, because when we control them, it's somehow easy to navigate the classroom. But when we give them the freedom, we don't really may not know what happens next. So can we check this somehow, that our students are ready for the project-based learning, Marcin?
I love questions like this one, and the answer that I give is always the same. First of all, it's not about the students. First of all, it's about us. Are we ready to let go of the control? Are we ready to give students freedom and independence? And are we ready to actually show that we trust them. If we are ready, this is the foundation for this building. This is the foundation for this house that you can actually build later. Because if we start with, you know, this idea that we are sitting here now, and as I said, oh, this is the best way, let's do it. You know, tomorrow you start your classes and you just say to your students, now projects, let's go. And then you control what's going on. It doesn't make sense. Actually, it starts with you, it starts with us. And for me, as I said, you know, 10 years ago at the University of Cambridge, I had the first contact with this type of learning and teaching. So it wasn't like this that I came back here and I started doing it. I also had to be flexible to some extent and to introduce it step by step. And when I was ready to trust my students, to let them, it's like when you want your child to learn to swim, you know, at one hand, you just have to let the child go, or ride a bike. You just have to let the child go and choose their own way to do this action. Either it's swimming, either it's riding a bike or whatever. So first of all, the question is, are we ready to let ourselves go? Are we ready to try? You know, you are here, and I expect if you are here, then you are open-minded. So, you know, congratulations to you. But whether you do it or not, you are the person who has to choose it. Then you can discuss it with students. And as I said, I'm a big fan of giving clear instructions. So if you introduce this new project-based learning and you tell them this is what you want to try, you want to explore, and you don't know whether it will be fine or not. You don't tell that to your student, but you expect them to do well. You trust them. You just give them their part of the independence. Then you can give it a try.
Yes, I really like this concept of ourselves being ready for this and ourselves ready to give this freedom to our participants, to our students in the academic process, which, as we mentioned, is not an easy task, because it's somehow getting out of the usual track. It also means there is more responsibility on the tutor, more responsibility on the teacher, as I think the need for providing feedback arises here. We need to evaluate, or we should evaluate the tasks or the projects, and we should also be the facilitators. Sometimes we may have an idea for a project or a project-based learning activity, which we may feel it's a great concept, but actually when we go to the actual classroom with it, it will not run smoothly, and it will not be the best idea or concept to be introduced. So I would say then it wasn't a good project at all. Or, well, maybe it's up to the participants to make it a success or not. But I would say with us, the tutors, having this power in the classroom, I would say we need to be, as you said, we need to be ready ourselves for a new concept of this type of academic or learning activity. And also looking into the skills which can be developed through the project-based learning. Can you name some of them, or give some ideas on the skills that may be somehow developed by learners in such a way. What do you think?
I just need to give you a tool, because now we are talking and discussing something. I just wanted to be also pragmatic, and I will show you what changes happen. What changes happen when we actually start project-based learning. Instead of asking, I call them closed questions, and then the answer is yes or no. For example, this is it correct? Yes. Or is it correct? No. So instead of asking closed questions, we need to start to ask open questions. So during the project, the implementation of the projects, or just during the part when where it is just being developed, we should ask open questions. Open questions are like, what do you think should be done now? So, yes is not a good answer. No is not a good answer. Yes, what do you think about it? It makes our student think about it. Instead of giving the answer, it's what would you change? How could you improve it? For example, somebody comes to you and says, I don't know what, this is a very tricky one. Somebody comes and says, I don't know what to do. And the tricky coaching question is, okay, so what would you do if you knew what to do? And it also makes, provokes thinking. Okay, if I knew what to do, I don't know, maybe I would start with, and it really works. It may sound for you as a strange question, but it really does work. So first of all, we need to learn it, and we need to be ready that these questions will be asked. That if we start doing something, as we said, the previous part, we need to be ready. Then we introduce something like open questions. We need to be ready for these questions to be asked to us. And what type of skills, entrepreneurship. You've already mentioned that, Joanna. I think this is something that actually gives us a chance to become even leaders in our field, because we tend to explore opportunities. We tend to look for something that hasn't been grasped yet, hasn't been reached, hasn't been, acknowledged or whatever. So we try to be more and more and more creative. Independence, creativity, entrepreneurship, being assertive. That's another factor. We can be more assertive because we know how to defend what we think. If you think that pistachio ice cream are the best, and I think that watermelon ice cream are the best, we are both right. And it's the same with project. If you think that your project is good and you believe in that project, and I can have doubts, it's your task to convince me that this is the right way. So I would say that you actually build a kind of, you build knowledge, but on the other hand, you build like psychological spine, that you are a strong person, you are an assertive person, and you know where you are heading. And you will be ahead of your times. I think that this is what I would love to share with you, that these days are coming. We can either be on this train called progress or not. But if you don't get on this train, you will still, we will find you standing at the station even after a while, but some people will have already left. So progress is something that we can't stop. Either you're in or you are an old school type of a teacher, but both options are good. It just depends on you, where you want to be. If you want to be ahead of your times, that is something that Western Europe, I would say, or even the United States of America, they are doing that. And there is usually a wave that comes to us, to Eastern European countries. Like I would say that we are a decade after them, usually decade, even maybe 15 years later. So now being, as I said, on this train, it was a metaphor, but of course you understand that it gives us, everybody here, the opportunity. There are thousands of teachers who are not here. We are here. We are discussing that. So it's only what is in our head and how we feel about that.
I would say I cannot agree more with what you mentioned and with the ideas that you elaborated on. I would also add an element, I mean, going back to the benefits of the project-based learning. I would say it's the development of the critical thinking skills, which are there. The creativity of a student, and also on the social side, it's collaboration between students, between learners, which is also very important in the current education. Problem solving, having the ability to think out of the box thinking, meaning you don't see or you don't think in the standard way, and you can create new ideas and you can come up with unexpected solutions. I guess there is also a lot of responsibility, and there is the energy, which is a factor that cannot be ignored. And what I really loved from what you said was the simple question: what would you do if you knew what to do? That's, I think we should write it down from today's session as an opener for, in many situations, an opener even in social situations, but of course we are now discussing the academic environment. So sometimes it may be an opener or an icebreaker with our learners and students, and they may also see that the progress is coming and that they are responsible for it. I would say I partly agree with what you said about being a bit lagging behind some kind of modern concepts of pedagogical teaching and academic life. I wouldn't say it's a Polish syndrome that we are like behind modern concepts. I think it's always somewhere that people are not following the right patterns, and it's always somewhere globally that the teachers are following all situations and something they are used to, because it's easier. It's always easy to repeat the model that is known, and it's very difficult to step into new shoes and to introduce something which changes the energy, changes the environment, and also changes the whole concept of teaching. I would also say that the students learn a lot from the project-based learning. They learn not only information, they learn about the environment, about wellness, about economics, They are able to present solutions because the project is usually aiming at some kind of concept, and this is the final evaluation of a project, that if we reach a solution or we reach some kind of information. And I would also say that cooperation, the social aspect, it cannot be ignored because it brings on situations of being partners in academic life, and it's always this human factor can never be ignored because education is really a human business. Do you think, Marcin, that we live in the project-based world nowadays?
I think that, let's say, more and more, yes. That more and more it's changing, and we need to, yes, I would say that we need to be ready, whether we are ready or not. If we want to, again, if we want to be independent and creative, then it's the go-to way. If we just want to be, as I would say, figures in life, but I mean like pawns on chessboard or whatever, then this traditional way is more of you are said something that you need to do and you do it. I just want to come back to one point that is actually more of how to put it. We've got pros, we've got cons of everything. So a con that comes to my head is that project-based learning will be more time-consuming when it comes to giving feedback. Joanna, you said it. That giving feedback is important, that we need to exit our comfort zone. So it also, it's all about that, whether you are in your comfort zone or not, whether you are ready to exit your comfort zone or not. Because when it comes to the world, we don't have a choice. If it's changing, then we should adapt. We sometimes have to adapt. And I can't say that the world is 100% project-based. I don't think so. I think that it is still, there's a lot of hierarchy, and we are told how to do, what to expect, and it's changing, but it's not there yet. I don't know what your observation is, Joanna. Do you think it is just the project world?
I would say quite a lot, and to a very big extent, yes. Because I would also say because of technology, because technology is based on projects, because education is really nowadays is based on projects. And I would say this is derived from everyday life. This is like a mirror experience that we get. What we do in everyday life, for example, if I look into my days from Monday to Friday, my professional life, it is absolutely project-based, not only because I write projects, but also it's because of the system that I work in, and also the kind of personality that I have. So it's easier for me to start a project, to work on it, concentrate and develop, and kind of results I get. So this is, I think, as we were discussing it, yes, it's a human factor. I would say quite a lot. To a big extent, yes, we are in that world, whether we want it or not. And it's for the teachers, it's just to create a successful environment so that our students, our learners, may successfully land in that and may also develop through some kind of research, through stimulation of curiosity, or ability to generate questions, because if we question something, I guess we may develop in that. So creating is going smoothly to wrap up our meeting. I think we should have this ability to communicate, to be creative, to provide opportunities to our learners. And I would also like to write it on the chat as a sentence for thinking about the project. Let me write it briefly. It's a question which I like a lot. Does it respond to an itch? An itch is a skin irritation. So if something responds to an itch, it means we get proper feedback on it, and also the project may be engaging to our learners, our students. So forming a successful project is asking this question and also providing a lot of opportunities to our learners and our feedback. Only then the project may be authentic, may be followed by reflection, and may be more student-centered, because it's part of our work that we have to focus on the student. It's not the teacher talking time, it's the student talking time, or the student development time. And as we all know, that knowledge is a consequence of experience, which is quite a big phrase, but I would say this experience gained through projects is something we may not under-evaluate. We have to see that different angles, and we have to be part of this. I would say, as you mentioned, this train, and I really like this concept. We have to be on this train, because if we leave, or if we stay on our platform like 10 or 20 years ago, we will lose everything. We will lose the concept, we will lose our audience and our learners. So I think project-based learning, I think it's not the future, it's a must, really. It's a must in current education. I would like to thank you, Marcin, for sharing your knowledge and vast experience, and I hope our participants today enjoyed our exchange of opinions. Thank you very much for today, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Щиро дякуємо, шановні учасники, щиро дякуємо пані Joanna, пані Марцин. Дякуємо. І очікуйте, будь ласка, матеріали у терміни, які були зазначені в інформаційних листах під час оформлення заявки на участь у заході. Щиро всім дякуємо. До побачення.
Дякуємо вам.
Дякуємо вам, до побачення.
До побачення.
Все добре.
Бye-bye.
До побачення.
Дякуємо, до побачення.
Дякуємо.